the first.
Yo, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Morning Market Report. Guys, we just now got data that just came in. JOTs job openings. I'm going to move it to the side here. Let me see. That right there. There we go. JOTs job openings just came in. This is for September. This is September numbers. We were at 7.227, was expected to be lower at 7.2 flat. Came in at 7.658. This is September jobs. We got October JOLTS job openings. They took that number, said, hey, okay, 7.65. Got it. We're here. Was expected to be as low as 7 million. Came in at 7.6 million. We're getting some breaking news right now that JOLTS job openings are climbing, meaning there's more jobs available out there. This is going to be interesting to see how Jerome Powell handles this tomorrow with the FOMC date coming in, because now we're seeing some strength in the jobs that we didn't see previously. Of course, we're still not going to have the inflation part of all of that. That's one of those major pieces that he's going to be looking at. But check out JOLTS job quits here, guys, for October. Of course, they didn't have September's data to feed into that. Was expected to be as high as 3.1 million, 2.94. And then September's data here, 3.09 coming up. So people quitting their jobs too, according to this data. So we're going to be breaking all this down today. We're going to be looking at these crypto bubbles, of course, and checking out what's going on. We're getting a little bit of a move here. Bitcoin right now, as we speak, you can see it right there, getting a nice little move to the upside on this data this morning. Of course, we are going to be watching that level right there. It's going to be your golden pocket coming in line with that dynamic reactor. Yeah, getting some data came in this morning, gave us a little rally. We're going to talk about that. Also, Michael Saylor. If we are in a bear market, could Michael Saylor and the Saylor effect have a big impact on the markets? Make sure you guys stay tuned for that. We're going to be breaking that all down. Got a whole slideshow, did a bunch of deep dive research for you guys to keep you knowledged, because knowledge is profit. So, guys, you guys know what time it is. Let's go ahead and get it. Get your notebooks out. Class is in session. Boom. There we go. And shout out to the OGs, the Otter Gang joining us over here now. We're also simulcasting on X right now. So if you're on X over there, shout out to you guys. OC's running a little bit behind tonight. So I'm going to, this morning, I should say, tonight, a little bit behind this morning. So let's go ahead and bring up the chat cam solo here, and I'll get you guys in there. I gotta connect it this way. Let's go screen share. Got it. Cool. And then let's go throw that in there. There, I think that should be it right there. There we go. We got chat. We got chat in here with us. So let's go through here and see who all we got. We got pre-crypto workout. Good afternoon from Belgium. Hey, I'm going to be in Belgium on my European cruise here in like a week and a half. This weekend, I go start at the cruise, but we end up in Belgium. So shout out to you. Short or long? I'm short right now still, and I'll show you why. I'll show you why I'm short here in a minute. Mike Vollmer, what's up, bro? How you doing? Alexander G's in here with us right now. We got Rebel Moon in the house with us. Who else? We got Mike Play, XYZOZYX in here with us. Appreciate everybody in here. Juarez Munch. Appreciate that, man. You guys all just rolling in here. We got 179 people total between X and YouTube. So shout out to everybody that's joining us here. You guys are amazing. If you haven't done so yet, smash the like button, or you can wait and see if you get anything out of today's content. I'm sure you will, and you're going to enjoy it. Let's go ahead and get in on the chart right now and talk about that. and then we'll get in and talk about some of the news that just came out. Right now, we did get an initial pump on this, guys. We are starting to get a retracement. This is the levels that I've been talking about for a while here. If you're new here, Golden Pocket and Platinum Pocket, where are these pulled from? Let's go ahead and break all this down so you guys can see on the chart where I got this data from. This is going from our low that we had back in April of 2025 to our all-time high that we had at 126,200. Of course, I sold everything at 126, and I'm still glad that I did. Right now, when we bring this into some small candles, you can see that we got a little bear flag still going on here. The resistance levels that we're getting all of this off of after getting a bounce at the 887 on the Platinum Pocket, giving us this move to the upside, and we had Golden Pocket resistance at the 0.66, 92,058. We did get one little tiny push up through here, which created our second touch point for our flag that we're currently in. Hit the 618, also hitting the dynamic reactor, or hitting the quantum reactor and dynamic reactor there. Give us this pullback. We kind of went sideways. It was a boring weekend there. And now what we are fighting is the dynamic reactor from ChartPrime's indicators overlapping with this 0.66. I'm still in a short from $93,000, and I do believe this is a trade that I'm probably going to hold until this plays out here. If this breaks above this, then I'll go ahead and close this out right there at my entry. Won't make anything off of it, but I will then be poised for an upside move. Of course, we're continuing the dollar cost average, the Piper plan. If you guys don't know anything about it, you should, because we've been buying ever since I sold all of my Bitcoin at $126,000. We've been buying every single week, and our DCA now has me currently sitting at about $97,000 on my average price. So yeah, if this thing gets a move up here, or even just a move above this dynamic reactor and show strength, we'll be back here in profit very, very shortly. So the short that I am holding right now is just to hedge against that. So if price continues to go down, and my DCA is, I'm continuing to buy my average down. The short is hedging against what I bought on spot. So if we get up here, there's no reason for me to hold that because we're coming back into profit one way or the other. I'm going to make money no matter what happens here, and we'll continue to throw that money into the dollar cost average in every week. So the Piper plan in full effect. 96K. Shit. Holy shit. What's up, man? I like that name. 96K. Yeah, I think if we get above this level, we could. If we reject around $92,100 in that range, very likely heading down to the VWAP here. The VWAP coming in nicely on the bottom of that flag. If I can draw the flag, there we go. On the bottom of that flag right now, that's coming in at about 86,000. So top side of this flag going to be near 96, bottom side of this flag going to be near 86. And so either way, I think we have to assume that we're in the hot dog zone, as Alex O would say. We're in the hot dog, not a bun. So right now, if you're not in a trade, I would watch for that level first to get broken and make a decision. That's going to be a decision point. Then we'll see if we get up to that upper level, $96,000. So that's what I'm watching on the Bitcoin chart right now. We'll go into a little bit of top-down analysis on this here shortly. But let's go ahead and jump over into the news segment and get that rolling, because we got some stuff we got to talk about over there. Let me get this set up for you. There we go. And to the news. To the news, Batman. Taking a look at the news charts here, guys. Everything we need to know over here. Looking at the Into the Cryptoverse metrics today. We are looking right now at a 3.1 trillion. I want to refresh this, make sure that we got fresh data on this, because we did get a little bit of a move. Yeah, $3.102 trillion. So just about 3.1 trillion bucks right now in the total crypto market cap. Trend level sitting on this at 4.791 trillion. Undervalued currently by about 35.24%. Current risk level on this is a big piece of our dollar cost averaging, because we don't do a static amount every week. We do a dynamic dollar cost averaging, meaning that we dollar cost average the amount. So if it's your base is 25 a week, right now we're at a 3x, so it's $75 for this week. Whatever your amount is, right? 3 times your amount. So right now we're sitting at a 3x level at 42.4% on Bitcoin. Looking here at Bitcoin dominance right now with stable coins, it's at 58.6%. Take away those stables, Bitcoin dominance is sitting at 64.84%. 24-hour liquidations here in the past 24 hours. We had 83,430 traders get liquidated. Total liquidations coming in at $176.6 million. Largest single liquidation order happened on Bybit. It was for 1.81 million bucks on a single ETH trade. How's the stock market looking this morning? Let's make sure this is up to date and refreshed. There we go. Looking at the Dow Jones, up slightly right now, about 0.2%. S&P is up about 0.1%. And the NASDAQ slightly down right now at 0.14. I'm just curious about something here. I want to see. There we go. I'm bringing this stock. I'm actually selling off. MicroStrategy's down about 1% today. Marathon's down about 1.16%. How is NVDA? NVIDIA's down about 0.5%. Of course, a lot of choppy news yesterday on them. Trump said, hey, the H200s, China, you guys can buy them. And then China came out and said, you know what? No one can buy them in China unless they approve it through us first. And it looks like they don't have a lot of interest in it. So got a big pump yesterday on NVIDIA stock off of that news. Today, sell off as it's not really something that anyone's really caring about too much in China. So NVIDIA down about 0.5% today. And of course, when you have that big of a company on the markets, it's absolutely going to have an effect on that NASDAQ. And we're seeing it right there, down 0.12% today. How are the bonds markets looking? 10-year yield getting bought up, or getting sold off, I should say right now. It's going up, meaning it's being sold. It's at 4.178, guys. We're going to hit 4.2 on this thing. And I would not be surprised to see the 10-year treasury yield continue to go up despite the rate cuts that we're getting, because people just don't want the 10-year yield. They don't want US's debt. And that's really what they're getting when they buy that. So, looking here at gold right now, sitting at $4,229, up about 0.3% today. And silver, crushing it, getting close to $60 an ounce. It's at 59.61 right now, just dropped down. And it's up 2% today on the daily. Let's go take a look at the crypto bubbles, talk about what's going on over there. Bitcoin up about 0.3% today after some static, some sideways, boring price action overnight. Bitcoin up 0.3% today. Ethereum's up 0.5 today. What are the big movers? 2.1% downside on Solana, I guess, is kind of a harsh move. Cardano, shout out to A to Ace, man. Sitting at 45 cents, up almost 5% on the daily. The last hour, making up almost 1% move there. Chainlink, very slow on the uptick for the daily, only up 0.3%. But on the last hour, making up a 1% move there to the upside. So without this last hour, it looks like Chainlink was in the red, and now it is making a move up. Stellar Lumens moved up 1 spot to number 14, but still down 0.2% on the daily here. Zcash up 7.5% at 430 bucks, moving up 2 spots to number 16. Monero still in the top 20 privacy token, just like Zcash, still down 2.3% though on the daily. And then we got Litecoin at number 19, up about 1%, and rounding out the top 20 is going to be SWI, up 0.5% today. Any other big movers? Let's just look through here. BitTensor, that's an odd one to be moving, I guess. Meme Core up 8%. Never even heard of that token. Yeah, it's getting down into the ranges of things that I never, ever touch. But yeah, top 20 looking decent right now. Let's take a look at this economic calendar. We already talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the show. But yeah, we got this morning, we did get the ADP employment change for the week. Was negative 13.5K. For this week, it went up 4.75 thousand jobs. Red Book year over year. No, sorry, JOLTS job openings September. Again, we were at 7.227 million. Expected to be down slightly at 7.2 million on the consensus and the forecast. What did we get out of that mix? JOLTS job openings, 7.658 million. Guys, this is a big change to where we thought we were with the rate cuts. Of course, this is old data, but we still saw a slight increase for October from that number, meaning, hey, things may not be as horrible on the front as we thought, even people quitting more jobs than we thought, but we are still seeing, of course, in the grand scheme of things, I'll jump into X here and talk about it. We are still seeing some things in here that just give us You know what? Things may not be looking great here. First of all, PPI. We're not going to get our PPI data, which we were supposed to get. We're now not getting it until January, which is our inflation data, right? So we're missing a big chunk here for Jerome Powell. So I do think we're going to get a rate cut, but I think we get an extremely hawkish rate decision or speech tomorrow with Jerome Powell. And I think that could have a drastic impact on price action on the markets. Again, the jobs number, though, the elephant in the room, 1.2 million job cuts announced in 2025. 60% of Americans say we're in a recession. So I don't think that these JOLTS job openings, I think it's going to do some stuff for Wall Street. I think it's going to do some stuff for the crypto bros on the investing side. Don't know for that it's evidently going to have too much of an impact, though, on what the Jerome Powell and how people feel about the total economy. Right now, it's just it's pretty horrendous. Some other things in here too. Total consumer credit surging, and I want to open this up here. Here we go. Total consumer credit surging by a positive 9.2 billion in October alone. That's a record $5 trillion in consumer credit debt right now. Revolving credit, which includes credit cards, jumped up 5.4 billion to 1.32 trillion. It's the highest level of credit card debt since it's the highest since November 2024. By comparison, the average monthly increase seen from 2021 through 2024 was 8.7 billion. So we did that in 1 month compared to this average monthly increase that was way lower in the past. So non-revolving credit, mainly auto and student loans, that went up by 3.8 billion. So as you can see, we're seeing a lot of debt here. And something that I want to point out, we got a lot of people, 1 in 4, 25% of all American consumers have used buy now, pay later for groceries and buy now, pay later for food, like Instacart, stuff like that. And when we look at that factor, that number is an astronomical number that of how much that has been utilized. And that data is not anywhere in any reports, just so you guys know. That does not hit a credit reports. It doesn't hit on this FRED. The FRED doesn't track that, which is the Federal Reserve economic data site. So there's a whole nother factor out there on top of this horrible consumer credit number that's not even being tracked. Powell may wait for new data before signaling a rate move. Analysts expect Powell to stay flexible until key payroll and CPI data arrives in January. Again, we're not getting any inflation data until much later than we really need it. And then what was the other thing here? Yeah, this Wisdom Tree's chief economist, Jeremy Siegel, he said, I think we're going to hear a hawkish 25 basis point cut and dissent in the Fed. He's looking for a hawkish cut. What does that mean? It means basically that he thinks we're going to get a 25 basis point rate cut, but that it's not going to be bullish at all, or dovish at all in what he speaks.
At the University
So
of
listen to
Pennsylvania's
this.
Wharton School of Business, also, of course, chief economist at Wisdom Tree. Good morning to you. What do you think we are going to hear from the Fed this week? And what do you think we should hear from them?
I think we're going to hear a what I call a hawkish cut. I think they are cutting 25 basis points. I think there's going to be dissents on both sides. I think Mirren is going to go again for 50, but I think there could be 2, maybe even 3 that want to keep it unchanged. So
It's ahead of this week's Fed.
And so there you go. Yeah, definitely. Very likely. I won't say definitely. There's a chance, but very, very, very likely we do get a rate cut, 25 basis points tomorrow. But yeah, I think that his speech it has the potential of really just sinking the markets. And another thing too, I want to point out here lastly on X marks the spot, guys. Kabisi letter put this out about an hour ago. Bullish investor sentiment is surging. And you guys know how this looks. If you've been around for any amount of time, when people start to get overly bullish, it's when they get the surprise, right? And so 44.3% of individual investors expressed a bullish stock market outlook over the next 6 months in the latest AAII survey. This highest since October 8th. The peak over the last 12 months with 45.9 came in at 44.3, getting almost as high. During that same period, the share of retail investors expressing bearish sentiment has declined, only down 18.3 points to about 30.8%. It's the lowest since January 23rd. As a result, the gap between bullish and bearish readings jumped 13.5 points. Everyone wants a piece of this market. And you guys see the last time we were this high, again, that's coming in January. What happened in January? We had a sell-off going into April, guys. Just keep all that in mind. Just keep all that in mind. I think with that much bullish sentiment, it's poised to be an absolute downside move. And I think that's about all I have today on this whole setup. But we are going to go over the this slideshow here, just so you guys know. This slideshow right here, we're going to talk about this in a little bit with OC up here with me. He's going to be sitting right there. But guys, OC's here. Let's go jump over to him, see how he's feeling about this this move. We got a little move, OC. Good morning. How you doing today, bro?
Doing fantastic. I mean, well, give me just 1 second. I need to mute myself because that's, oh, there you go. When you hear yourself with that little delay, it's kind of like hard to talk. But yeah, I mean, I'm doing fantastic. I mean, I just need to go and do some orange juice, fresh squeeze out of the box. Look at that.
No, do not put orange juice in your coffee. That is not morning coffee advice. OC, we went through the chart and talked about what we're seeing right now on Bitcoin earlier. Of course, you weren't here. You were catching up some work, but glad to have you here. Shout out to TradeFly. I see him in the chat also. Good to see you here, TradeFly. Appreciate you, bro. So we're doing this bear flag right now. We do have, these levels of resistance that we've talked about on the charts and stuff, but we got some bullish data today that came in. Some bullish information rolled in on us for job numbers. So kind of giving this little uplifting movement to the markets despite NVIDIA sell-off, which is holding down the NASDAQ, Dow Jones, and S&P, both sitting in the green. Let's jump over to your chart. How you looking at Bitcoin right now? And then I want to come back and we'll talk about this Bitcoin price effect. I'm going to do some top-down analysis, and then we're going to talk about the Michael Saylor Bitcoin effect and what could happen in February with that. And then we'll get into some altcoins. But what are you seeing on Bitcoin right now, bro?
Absolutely. So the first thing I want to go over is cleaning up our charts so we can do another perspective, back-to-back perspective on how Bitcoin is moving, right? So the first thing I want to get rid of is the 30-minute chart, right? Remember, we were talking about having a breakout hitting this area and then coming back down. Well, it was not exactly the same area, but very, very close. So we already have come back down. This peak being this peak right here. We did have the little hump just a little bit lower to my right. All right, so this one right here. All right, so the next thing I'm going to be doing is just cleaning this up and then going to the next charting here. So the next chart is showing us where we left out, right? Not only we are in an upraise channel that also looks like a bearish flag on the daily. Let's go to the daily. Let's take a look at that, which is not pretty good, right? But also, I mean, it also resembles like what we have seen before, right? These kind of movements, and we can still make that double bottom within December, and maybe, just maybe, have a continuation to the upside. I highly doubt it at this point, but let's just keep it let's keep it real, and let's also keep that little hopium at least till December. And as you can see, well, we are prepared with our alerts in here, and we're expecting a possible bounce still to 98,529. Basically going for either a double bottom or a pullback from this big breakout, because a big breakout, man, has already played out, right? And so is it going up or is it going down from where we are? I think we're going sideways for a little bit more time, right? Basically imitating what happening here. I think that's what we're going to be having, something like that. And then maybe as we finish up this week, we could be having just a little bit peak of a rising back up at these zones. Let's go back where we left out in here. This is the hopium scenario, of course. If we have a breakout, we do have a breakout. We have a little retest. I'm waiting for this movement to go somewhere in between 94,786 and then coming back around. And this is because of this other trend line that we have in here. And if for some reason this thing lets me There we go. Edit this thing. We can start now adjusting a little bit and going for this peak, and maybe some other peaks like in here, right? In fact, I can go all the way up here and then adjust it. I think that will be much better. Not only much better, it will also reflect what we were expecting. Yes, we have a bearish flag, a pretty not good bearish flag. But also, guys, remember what we talked about yesterday. We need to be prepared, and prepared means to, hey, you know what, it's not that I need to be scared, but I need to have a plan A and plan B and know exactly when am I gonna be flipping that up. Let me clear this up once again in here for you guys, and this is gonna be our plan. All right, as we talked about yesterday, let me just give you the next or the follow-up in here. So I'm gonna be just recreating what we did yesterday, like that. We're gonna be looking for this movement. All right. And when we are at the bottom, we're going to be trying to buy. And when we are at the top, we're going to be trying to sell in here. All right. Having a hedge. As soon as we have that hedge, we're going to be moving stop losses as the price starts moving. Let's go over then with the specifics. I'm going to leave this alone as it was. And let's just beat this table down into the 30 minutes. All right, so into the 30 minutes, we keep on, we're still within the into the channel. It's a little bit different because this is a little bit more precise. We did it within the 30 minutes so we can catch the very bottom of those candles, and we are at the center. Usually lately, and I hate to see this, but lately weekends have been a little shaky. And so I would actually expect throughout this weekend to reach the top, basically going for a short and then claiming a possible long here. Something important. Says, but I'm going to be looking for these shorts somewhere around these areas. That doesn't mean that my stop loss is going to be ginormous. And also, if I start breaking through and then I retest and I start moving upwards, that's when I start head switching and going for a little long in here. How big of a long? We're going to be aiming somewhere around the 100K. If that is the case. So when are we triggering the entry? If you want to maybe catch this movement to the upside, that will have to be basically right now, but we just don't have the actual money flow to drive this up. So if you're looking for a possible entry, I would look like, for example, a long, but being very, 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 very careful because
we're in the middle of the hot dog. Danger Will Robinson move there.
Exactly. Because we haven't touched neither the bottom, neither the top. So as you mentioned, we are right there on the hot dog. We don't want the hot dog, we want the bonds, right? Top and bottom. So I would rather say that this is a no trading zone. And to reflect that, actually, I'm in no trade at this point. Not other than the ones that I bought at 100K, remember? And the ones that I bought as we went down. And basically, I'm already out of those trades. I just have the 20% in moon back on that last trade. But other than that, I have nothing. I'm just standing by.
Yeah, I'm still sitting in my $93,000 entry short, so I'll let that one ride. Let it ride. And then if it gets stopped out, then, it will likely at that point send in my DCA bag into higher. We just had an article come out from CNBC Pro, OC. Let's jump over here with you. There we go. Traders are bracing for a hawkish cut. We just talked about this. Here's what that means. The Fed Reserve is expected to reduce its benchmark rate tomorrow by 0.25%, 25 basis points tomorrow. That's because traders around Wall Street expect it to be a hawkish cut. They don't expect the markets to take off in response to that. Meaning the so-called dot plot, which indicates where individual Fed voting members see the overnight rate going, signals the central bank as a group expects to cut only once next year. This is why we're saying it could be hawkish. We may get 25 basis points tomorrow, but guys, there's some news that we may not get anything. Jerome Powell may not commit to any future monetary action tomorrow in his speech. And then to top it off, the Fed is likely to go on an extended pause after cutting on Wednesday. Wrote Adam Crisafulli, nailed it, of Vital Knowledge, who also acknowledged that the hawkish cut chatter is on the trading floor right now. So right now, Fed funds future rates, traders are pricing in the next rate reduction after Wednesday to not come until April. And that might be the only rate cut we get for all of 2026. I think that would be a very bearish stance on the markets, guys. And I think tomorrow you will see some sell-off happen in the markets. And volatility will definitely be there, sending everybody on a wild ride. Let's go over and talk about some top-down analysis. And you were talking about $100,000 on a move to the upside, OC. I would be watching for about 101.8. 101.8, $101,800. Why? That's going to be our 52-week simple moving average. Bear market's resistance band, formerly known as the bull market support band, also coming down into line there too. And that would be the 618 level right there in that ballpark too, about 103,000. Which was where we called the top for the cycle over a year ago, basing it off of the historical patterns of where Bitcoin moves to in cycles. It does this extension up to golden pockets, slightly breaking it back in 2018. But yeah, this is where we called over a year ago for the target to be, barely breaking above it there. That would also be in line with that 52-week simple moving average. Now, let's talk about some of these downside levels that we've been breaking down for you guys about, historical retracements. Bitcoin comes back down into the 786 every cycle, the platinum pocket on retracements for bear markets. Before we go into the Michael Saylor effect and talk about this, I want to lay out these levels here. 50% retracement would put Bitcoin at $70,000 for the bear market. That is based on institutional demand, the bullish absorption of sell-off, so on and so forth, from that narrative of institutional and ETF access, right? But if we did a golden pocket retracement, that would be down into the $52,000 to $57,000 range. If we were to hit our typical range, we'd be looking at $39,000. What would be the catalyst that would cause, okay, we might get a lot of bullish absorption at this golden pocket or this 50? What would cause that to unravel and have, despite the all of the bullishness of the institutional adoption and investment into Bitcoin, what would cause us to go down and do a typical 78.6% fib retracement? That would be something that I'm calling the Saylor effect. So let's get into this here and talk about it. Let me move myself over just slightly. There we go. And check this out, guys. We got a whole thing here on this. So we're going to break that something down that the market is just beginning to understand today. And it's how Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy could unintentionally amplify a major Bitcoin drawdown, and why at the same time Saylor is not anywhere close to being forced to sell his Bitcoin, despite him saying that if this happens, then that, if this, then that. He has said that there could be a situation where they have to sell Bitcoin. We're going to talk about all of that here in the slides and talk about it. So let's get into it. First thing you need to understand is the MNAV, okay? And that stands for market value divided by net value. So it's the MNAV. And this is the market value of MicroStrategy divided by the net value of Bitcoin, of all of its Bitcoin that it holds, okay? This is the entire backbone of Saylor's strategy. When MNAV is high, 1.5, 1.8, 2 whatever, the market is paying a premium over the raw value of MicroStrategy's Bitcoin. That premium is Saylor's fuel. That's how he gets, that's his secret sauce, if you will. And it lets him issue new shares at a premium using that capital to buy more Bitcoin. That's how he's able to keep buying all this Bitcoin. And it increases Bitcoin per share. So how much Bitcoin divided by the number of shares that they have, that's the premium there. And they keep that flywheel spinning. So it's just it's a self, renewing amount of money coming in. But when that premium compresses, when MNAV slides towards 1 and goes below it, that flywheel can break, okay? And the chart that you're seeing shows exactly how that compression happens. MNAV divided by market value of strategy. When MNAV is below 1 or above 1, it pays a premium. Michael Saylor uses that premium, buys more compression, okay? Let's go into the next slide and we'll talk about what this is. So MSCI, if you guys don't know, there is a whole thing. Actually, I'll stay on this one for a second. MSCI is the breakdown of the MNAV times 1 issues common equity. If it goes below that 1 times multiplier of MNAV, then they have to sell Bitcoin and sell Bitcoin derivatives, okay? MSCI, this is where the big factor comes in, because right now MSCI is trying to decide if they're investigating right now, MicroStrategy. Is MicroStrategy a software company, or is MicroStrategy or strategy, I should call it, are they a Bitcoin fund? And so in January, mid-January, we're going to get the decision on that. I think January 15th is the date that they're going to make that decision. And if they are decided that that strategy is a Bitcoin fund, they cannot be listed in the ETFs and the indices that they're listed in. So let's talk about that. MSCI is evaluating whether strategy should stay in their index. If they remove it, every index fund tied to MSCI will be forced mechanically to sell strategy stock. No emotion, no discretion, just automatic selling. Billions of dollars dumped regardless of what Bitcoin is doing. That selling pressure hits the stock directly. And as the chart shows, you can see February, when they would start doing that, index funds have to sell billions of passive outflows, and then that will then cause a funding and narrative stress at strategy, crushes that MNAV below 1, then billions of passive outflow regardless of Bitcoin price, and that is the amplified risk, the Saylor effect that it could have on sell-off while we're already in a sell-off of Bitcoin, right? And so that would force them to then go, okay, we're now we need to sell Bitcoin. If we run out of cash, we need to sell Bitcoin in order to pay for our dividends earnings. And so this could cause a massive avalanche effect of MicroStrategy stock dropping horribly low because of automatic sell-off on the indexes. Just happens. It's the way it's going to happen. And then they have to possibly sell off Bitcoin. But there is some hope on this, and I'll explain something that people are not understanding, and it's about their cash reserves. Here's the danger for Bitcoin. When MNAV collapses, then MicroStrategy enters funding stress, okay? This does not mean bankruptcy. It doesn't mean liquidation, but it does mean that the market starts pricing in the possibility that MicroStrategy may eventually need to sell Bitcoin or restructure its debt. And that fear, that perception, that is feeding on itself. It starts to feed, people go, okay, what if he has to sell now? We're watching the stock sell off. They lost these listings. And that worry, that's the sentiment of that on top of a bear market that starts to hit people right in the gut. Investors will start to de-risk, short sellers get aggressive, sentiment cracks, and suddenly normal Bitcoin pullbacks turn into deeper drawdowns. This is how we surpass that bullish absorption of the golden pocket in the 50% fib and go down to our normal 78.6% fib that we talked about down at 40,000, because sudden Bitcoin pullbacks turning into deeper drawdowns would definitely put us into old levels that we hit. MicroStrategy structure unintentionally amplifies the downside. That's the reflexive crash pathway, okay, that could happen. Now, where's the bullish sentiment in all this? This is where the conversation flips, okay? Because despite all the pressure, despite the MSCI, despite MNAV compression, despite everything we just covered, MicroStrategy does not need to sell Bitcoin. But you're going to hear people say he's got to sell now, right? He's even said if the valuation of our Bitcoin holdings is higher than the valuation of our stock, we will sell off some Bitcoin, even though he's always said never sell your Bitcoin. That is actually in his bylaws. So here's where it gets into the interesting part. Cash reserves versus dividend obligations. He doesn't have to sell until he gets to a point where they cannot pay out their obligation of $800 million annually in dividends, okay? They pay that to their their shareholders. Here's why. They have a $1.44 billion in cash reserves. The only thing that they're obligated to pay out is the dividends. Their other piece that they're sitting on of the convertibles, they have until 2027, 2028 for those valuations to matter for their Bitcoin price, right? But the obligation they do have that doesn't stop and not set on that convertible timeline is that $800 million in annual dividend that they have to pay out. Sitting on $1.44 billion, that gives them 21.4 months of funds to operate on in their cash reserves. And so that's almost 2 full years where Saylor can operate the company without touching a single Satoshi. This is critical because it means even if MSCI forces billions in selling, even if the stock collapses, if the MNAV breaks under 1, and if equities turn against him, Saylor still has nearly 2 years before he's pressured financially to sell Bitcoin. He has time, and in the markets, time is oxygen. So let's get back over here, wrap this up. MNAV is the lifeblood of MicroStrategy's flywheel. MSCI's forced selling could crush it, collapsing the MNAV, amplifying downwards. Really, at this point, the structure may wobble, but Saylor isn't anywhere close to being sourced to sell his Bitcoin. And so what really is going to play an effect on this is the sentiment and the perception that the investor has about strategy and its Bitcoin holdings. If they start to get a lot of FUD and a lot of chatter saying, you know what, they're getting ready to have to sell Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going down. I'm going to sell now and buy later, buy lower. Then that would be the situation that actually causes us to go down and hit that 78.6 threshold, possibly even lower at $39,000. But for right now, we have to hope that the Saylor effect is held up by his flywheel and his narrative, his angle that he's playing on the market. So I hope you guys get something out of that. I know that was a lot. That could have been a standalone video, but I did a lot of research on this, and I said, okay, what is the real data here that we need to know, and how much danger is he in? There you go. 21 plus 21.4 months he can operate on cash reserves for his financial obligations. He may not be able to buy any more Bitcoin for a while, but he could still operate until that Bitcoin comes back into profits. And then, of course, that would then push the narrative of the company coming back up. OC, your thoughts on this? Because it's a pretty in-depth deep dive, but I think that it was some relevant data that people really needed to understand there of how we could get a bear market, rapid push down, going down the hill. All right, Roar, we're going down. We're going down. Oh, here's some Michael Saylor energy for you down the hill. But in reality, it would be the sentiment and the narrative of people's perception, not the fundamentals of the company that would actually cause it to happen, in my opinion. Your thoughts?
Ooh, that's hard. No, I mean, it's hard. Once you understand this, guys, and am I too loud? Is this all right?
No, I think you're good. You're good.
Perfect. All right, so I think the point to take out of here is there's two things happening here, and also I was also investigating about this topic. Pretty funny, because there's also a third point, which is manipulation behind the scenes, because we have JP Morgan shorting.
Yep. Yes, and this and pushing down on strategy. Yes, they're shorting strategy. Almost forcing the price of Bitcoin to come down. I don't like to put on the tinfoil hat too often, but you are 1,000,000% correct. And I purposely left that out of the details of the Saylor effect, but there's manipulation affecting the Saylor effect. And you're 100% correct there on that, OC. The banks are going after Saylor, and they're going after Bitcoin, in my opinion. Yes.
And dude, I mean, this is what I actually got the goosebump right now. I mean, I want to see Saylor success, right? It's going to be a statement for Bitcoin. At the same time, I want cheaper Bitcoin, right? Who doesn't? And banks know it. Dude, guys, I mean, let's understand something. Banks are not your friends. They've never been. They never will be. That is a effing fact, all right? And that is for everyone out there. Let's just look at bankers as another race, all right? And that race, despite human beings, all right? Take it as it goes. Why? They're gonna leech on any money opportunity like vultures, all right? Like ticks onto your skin. And that's exactly what's happening. They are actually shorting Michael Saylor, and for a good big reason. We have seen this happen before in maybe another situation when we didn't have like the dividends, and this happened back on the what was it? The Google the .com bubble.
The .com bubble.
I'm not saying that Bitcoin is a bubble. But what happens is like, all right, when you had like this kind of company and then you ask for a debt, or you go get debt, right, with a banker, and then the price of your stock goes lower, right? You say, well, I can no longer pay you back. And then the bank tells you, hey, don't worry, just give me your stock right? Whatever it's worth, and I'm gonna sell it. What happens is that you're auto dumping your own shit, right?
Yep.
So the next payment, you will have to give them more of your stock. How does that translate to right now? Well, he has to pay. His stock is Bitcoin, quote unquote, right? That is the bare bones of the structure of his business. And as you mentioned, he gets that premium because they usually we didn't have an ETF also at that moment. That's also an important thing. Now that we have an ETF, other companies can buy instead of his stock, can buy other stuff. All right.
Yep.
So right now it's Michael Saylor's name was it selling, right? Just like right now it is, for example. Tesla's not selling their cars because of their cars. They're selling because of Elon, right? It's
Yep.
the name behind the brand. And that is freaking dangerous, man. That is freaking dangerous. So long story short.
Go ahead.
Yep. So long story short, this had happened in the past, and this is called the death spiral, right?
The death spiral. This is exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Yes. And he only has one freaking ace behind his sleeve. It's a shallow bear market. All right, somebody not actually leeching
and
onto
his
the
cash
short,
reserves and his cash reserves lasting long enough. He's got that one too.
Exactly.
Which that's the when I found that data. When I found that data, I was like, he could operate for a long time. So here's really the question, OC.
Almost 2 years.
Here's really the question. Is Bitcoin going to still be in a bear market 21.4 months from now? That's the question, right? And I say no, it's not. I say no, it's not going to be in a bear market in 21 months from now. But if it is, then you're in some dangerous areas. And if we're in one that long, and then he has to start selling, man, you could be talking about some dirt cheap Bitcoin, OC. We may be looking back on this video 22 months from now going, well, shit.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, remember that he's I mean, as you mentioned, it's not that you remember, you guys remember that as Piper mentioned, right? He's got a tight amount of Bitcoin to the share. All right. So if his share it's lower price than Bitcoin, that's what actually banks are after. That's why they're shorting. They want to make money on the way down as the equilibrium drops, right? And they want to then buy the stock. So we're talking about a possible contraction of between 30 and 40% of Michael Saylor's huge company. So that is
which is already down over 40% for the year. It's already down over 40% for the year.
But that is on the price per share, right? But I'm talking about the whole contraction of business. That is also talking about if he gets, I mean, on top of that, like the kick in the balls, I would say the bankers. But now that we have factored that in, like you mentioned, like, hey, are they gonna rebrand him? Are they gonna kick him out of being an ETF? Ooh, man, if they do, that's like, dude, kicking the balls and kicking the ass, right? At the same time, like twice. And that's not good. That's going to create that dead spiral or accelerate that dead spiral. I would say that, and
absolutely,
please correct me if I'm wrong. I would say that his strategy, and we talked about this, and I'm changing my opinion. Let me stay that in, right? And something that I learned in trading is like, you know what? Smarter guys change opinion based on new data. And I think now with this new information, I'm changing my opinion. We talked about this topic, I think 3 weeks ago, right? When you said, hey, they're going from we're not selling to yes, we're selling. And I was like, dude, that is not really what I want to see out of them. Like that doesn't bring so much trust. No. Now I want to retract from that. Let me be very clear in this. And I think it will be an absolute genius move to sell Bitcoin right now and leave those cash reserves. Because right now you still for a premium on that Bitcoin. You're not buying at the top, and then you're gonna be waiting and then buying at the bottom to equilibrate your price. Bitcoin price acquisition balance sheet, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And we are getting we're getting a Bitcoin move right now, but go ahead and wrap that up and we'll jump over to the chart.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, so what do you think about maybe Saylor selling Bitcoin at 100K?
I think that if he is forced to, because of the bylaws within the company, it's part of the whole setup. If this happens, then that, right? I think that he will, but I think we have time. I think that it's going to be, I think that the fear of this and the FUD from this is going to cause more sell off than Michael Saylor selling off. How about that? But yeah, just keep all that in mind. We are hitting $92,000 right now on Bitcoin. And you can see, again, starting into the wicking already right there on that 0.66 and that dynamic reactor, guys. This is the level that I said was going to be really hard for Bitcoin to get through. And you can see we are wicking up right to that dynamic reactor. Shout out to ChartPrime indicators, guys. I'm telling you, put this bad boy on a 5 minute and you would actually have a pretty decent scalp move there at the top of that. Let's see here. That would have been a move of about 0.25%. On a scalp, which is a pretty good move for scalping. But yeah, we are at that range right now, fighting to get above that $92,192. So about 92.2K. We do have a good green candle, though. I will point this out. The volume is looking pretty decent on this push right now. If this had been low volume like we saw here, yeah, it went up, but it was a very low volume green candle. We're seeing good volume coming in right here on this, and it's now pushing. There we go. That's what I thought. We had good volume in there. We're going to watch where this thing goes. Again, if we get up here, we close this 4-hour candle. When does this 4-hour candle close? It is 6. It's going to be closing in 10 minutes. If we get here and we close this candle above and then we find support here, guys, I would be entering it along there on that setup for Bitcoin. Of course, look at your altcoins, and that's probably going to be a good spot there to grab some alt move to the upside. Target on this, again, hitting about $95,000 for which would be the top of the flag, but it does look like we did get the push that we needed off of that quantum reactor. Still not turning green yet. Keep that in mind. Still not green. But we did get lots of support off of that quantum reactor and now breaking that dynamic reactor to the upside. OC, let's go take a look at some alts and see how they're looking. What do you got on alt side, man?
Absolutely. First, I want to make sure that I shout out Kirk and Luna Beaches Crypto because Kirk says, hey, can somebody check how much Michael Saylor lost in the dot-com bubble year 2000? This says person Turkish waving. And LTC says, shh, we don't talk about that. Oh man, I love it. All right, so let's go take a look at the altcoins. I mean, they might be looking like they're shining at this point. For example, Ethereum is actually pumping. Of course, if you are doing a scalping in 5 minutes, 15 minutes, that could look like very, very good opportunity. But at the same time, remember, we are in the hot dark not trading zone. So if you are somewhere being between the 4 hours and daily, all right. Something important is that we're getting there.
He lost approximately $6 to $7 billion in personal net worth. 6 to 7 billion in net worth in a matter of months. So there you go.
Absolutely. I mean, oh man, it's not his first time. It's not his first time. Hopefully, he's a little bit more seasoned. But we need just to take things as what they are, right? So he's playing the risky game. So hopefully, he makes it alive. But at the same time, if I could, I would be shorting it, maybe. All right, so let's take a look at it here. Ethereum is getting to the area of rejection that we were talking about yesterday, 3,292. So I'm looking for that possible area to start looking into a retracement. That doesn't mean opening a short right away, but then start looking at where my support and resistances, what else do I have in there that could cause a rejection, and if I have the flip of the ribbon at a order block, I would say. Let's see if we have an order block in here or a liquidity zone. Then I will consider to go back and, trade this as a shorty here. And of course, we have a nice area of rejection somewhere around here. Something to keep in mind is that we have broken the predictive ranges in here. Let's take a look at the other predictive ranges. Remember, I got daily and local. And let's just wait for it for a second. And I don't see daily predictive ranges. Maybe I hit them. Let's give it a second. Come on. There it is. There they are. And we're getting into a resistance. So the next possible entry will be breaking through, coming in here. Your entry as we have a flip of the ribbon above the zero line, and then aiming to get this itty bitty movement, and then to try to short this thing as we come back down to the liquidity zone. And well, that's going to be in for this weekend. Well, guys, I told you, I don't like to see this weekend's pumping, but seems like we are lining up for that. Let's take a look at LTC. LTC is also doing very nice. Let's go to the 4 hours. Here it is. And this is where we were expecting, right? Movement to the upside, getting to the resistance zone. Right now, we're trying to push through that dynamic reactor. I think we're going to make it. All right. So be aware that we could be doing something like this as we were expecting. In fact, we already have an alert at 93.38. Remember, I know this looks juicy, but on the 4 hours, this is not tradable. If you want to trade that, you would need to go somewhere around the 5 minutes and wait for your entry. What is your entry? A pullback. So you need a pullback to re-enter and then coming back up. Is the pullback going to happen here? I don't know. And honestly, I don't care. You need to wait for it, right? Part of trading, everybody tells you it's patient, it's patience, it's patience. So what does that mean? It's just you don't sit in sleep on your chair. You wait for the actual thing to happen. What's the actual thing? The retracement, right? So it can happen here. It can happen here. It could happen here. It doesn't matter. You wait for the retracement, and then when you have that flip of the ribbon, that is your entry, rather there or here or here or whenever it happens. That's where being patient is it's about, all right? Knowing what are you looking for and waiting for that setup to play it out. So if you're looking for a possible reentry, do expect a pushback or a retracement, and then go into that retracement. You can also draw this trend line, and on the trend line breakout, and we can do that really quickly. Let's lock it, and then let's add an alert to it. And then on the trend line breakout, you can start looking then for what is the next upcoming support. Let's take a look at XRP. Long time since I don't see XRP. The XRP is being pumping, baby. Let's see, we have a very nice reversals. Look at that. I do advise you guys use those reversals. They're pretty accurate. And the next thing we're going to be looking for, of course, is going to be a resistance. We are on a resistance zone, but let's take a look at what else we have in there. First, I want to take a look at my dynamic reactor. Oh, we are in the 5 minutes. Let me go to the 4 hours. Here it is. Sorry, my bad here. So we are in a resistance zone. Yep, there we go. And it's not been pumping as I saw it. Sorry, I was different perspective. Let me clear this up. It's already a mess. And what I'm going to be looking for is this new pattern. My eyes are catching this pattern here. And I want to try to, like change these lines or use these trend lines to my favor, trying to go out through as many peaks as possible. All right, so the first one is looking like this, and then the next one is looking like that, I would say, all right? Or maybe I can even do this, so I can grab. Absolutely. Oh, that will be actually a triangle. Oh, no. Well, yeah, triangle, symmetrical triangle. And so, do you remember that the magic on these symmetrical triangles, since they're 50-50, like, yeah, buddy, you're telling me 50 chances, so that is basically unknown. But the gold on these kind of things are their trend lines, right? So remember, no trading until we break out, retest your entry, and off you go, or not trading until you break out, retest, and then off you go. So those are going to be your re-entry zones.
Trading is waiting, man. Yeah, they said our voice is a little off today. Sorry, it's cause OC came in afterwards and I wasn't able to get them synced up. But is my voice off from my words? I don't know. Who knows? We'll try to get it fixed for tomorrow's stream. But the alpha was still there. So if you guys got anything out of today, please smash up that like button. Real fast before we head out, I do want to go over NVIDIA real fast because NVIDIA is starting to get a move up on today's candle here. Looking at the daily chart, guys. Of course, we did hit down here, bounce on the trampoline of the dynamic reactor and the platinum pocket back here on the 25th of November. We are now moving up after yesterday's rejection right at the 50%. I am still holding my target on NVIDIA at 203 to 207 up here in this green box, guys. Got a nice gap there that still needs to be filled. Other gaps already closed out. Watching for that one. If we do get this move up here, get a bounce on the 50, looking for that continuation up to 203. Appreciate everybody joining us here today on the Morning Market Report. Piper, I'm good. Okay, good. So it's just OC. Yeah. OC's been having some issues with his camera and mic setting for a couple of days. So we need to get you reset back up, OC. But guys, appreciate y'all joining us here today. We'll be back here. OC will be live tonight, I think, for
this time
trade setups with OC. Okay,
yes.
So trade setups with OC guy at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. Tomorrow morning, BC Port Corp will be back with Good Morning Crypto, all right here on the Piper Academy channel, guys. So make sure you guys hit subscribe and notification bells. And we'll be back at 10 a.m. for FOMC Day, giving you guys the news, the charts, the markets, the headlines, and everything you need to have knowledge, because knowledge is profit. Until then, guys, trade safe. Use some risk management. Peace, love, and profits. We're about to head over to Crypto Princess. Drop your graduation caps when you get there. See you guys tomorrow morning.
That's the rap. Chart stack data never lie. Piper led the mission, OC in the sky. Spaghetti on the screen, but the vision stay prime. ChartPrime visual signals on time. Alumni strong, we built from the grind. Lessons in the market that'll outlive time. Knowledge is profit, you know how we run. Till the next one, stay sharp, get it done.
You can't handle the truth. Emotional, damn it.
We'll see you at the next
They don't
one.
know what the fuck they're doing.
Morning market report out. 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 Out.
Boom shakalaka.
We'll see you at the next one. Morning market report out. We'll see you at the next one. Morning market report. Ow.
That was awesome, dude.
Hey, it didn't break. What else you got?